Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. HOA Karen got my car towed. Worst mistake she ever made. After that, you need me to make a new batch of fries? Okay, I'll get right on that. And after that, lady doesn't want a drink, so has to pay for each item individually. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to go to KFC. But I want Colonel. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. HOA Karen got my car towed. Worst mistake she ever made. Years ago, I owned a big Mercedes. It was an 83 300 SD. It had upwards of 860,000 miles on it. I bought it from my father for $1, but actually only gave him 99 pennies a couple years after he bought it from his uncle. It was a massive car that was fun to drive. Like old turbo diesels often do, the turbo went out. The car still ran just fine, but it was more than sluggish going up hills. Living in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains made this an issue. The cost to repair was like $800. I needed about 6 weeks to be able to afford the repair. No big deal. I'll just park it on the condo parking pad about 50 yards from my condo, save up the money, then get it fixed. Then one day I come home and my car is gone. I'm not distraught, but incredibly upset. I call the police and a nice officer comes to take a report about my stolen car. A week or so goes by and I receive a phone call. Alas, my car has not been stolen, it has been towed. I make my way up to the tow yard and ask the dude in the building, what the heck? And he proceeds to tell me that an HOA member named Diane called and said it was improperly parked, against their rules, and had it towed according to their policies and signage. I paid him $550, which was the cost of the storage for over a week and the hookup charge, then drive my car back home. In the process of towing my car, the winch cable put a dent in my front bumper because the car was so long and heavy. I get home to call the landlord and ask about the CC&Rs. She sends them to me and there is nothing in there about the length of parking, only abandoned vehicles. The car was operable and had a valid tag and 4 tires full of air. It was obviously not abandoned. At this point, I began my research. I had the CC&Rs already and knew I was good there. Georgia law states that parking enforcement signs must be 4 feet above grade, which this neighborhood's signs were 3 feet. I found the names of each board member and the property management company. Diane was not listed as a board member. Interesting. I sued. I sued everyone. I sued the driver of the tow truck and the tow company for damaging my vehicle. I sued each and every HOA board member individually for towing my car improperly. I sued my landlord, just in case she needed to be named as well. I sued the property management company since they work for the HOA. I filed a subpoena for any and all records related to towing my car from the tow company. Lucky for me, they actually recorded their phone calls, and I had that phone call recording. I subpoenaed HOA board members for the past 10 years, and Diane was never a board member in the minutes. Finally, I sued Diane. I sued her for the cost of recovering my vehicle. Georgia has a provision in state law that allows for treble damages when a defendant acts with willful misconduct or fraud. I spent roughly 6 hours researching my case and decided to pay myself $100 an hour, which I felt was fair, as an attorney would have charged at least twice that. I amended my complaint to ask for treble damages against Diane. Court day. Before the case is heard, the judge dismisses the case against my landlord, as she had nothing to do with this. He dismisses the case against the tow truck driver, as he was acting as an agent of the company already named. He also dismisses the case against each board member, as they had no part in this at all. I was prepared for and expected these dismissals. It's better to sue everyone remotely involved and have their cases dismissed than to lose because you didn't name the right person. It's my time to shine, and I'm ready. I enter into evidence the state code that regulates signage, then submit my evidence that the signage did not follow the state law. This is my case against the property management company. The judge asks the property management company to respond, and they admit fault. I move for a directed verdict against the property manager for the cost of the hookup. Judge awards me $75 for the tow hookup fee and my $50 court filing fee from the property management company. Next, I enter into evidence the damage to my bumper. I also submit estimates from a Mercedes dealership to repair the bumper. Tow company says, "Yeah, that's our bad. We'll pay it." I'm then awarded $1,200 from them. Next is my case against Diane. I call the guy in the shack at the tow yard who testifies that I drove my car home that day. I enter into evidence the phone call she made to have my car towed, and he testifies to its authenticity. Diane has no clue what's happening, so she doesn't cross-examine him. I call the property manager, who is still in the courtroom, to testify that Diane is not and has never been a board member. She's still befuddled. I submit into evidence my current registration, showing the tag is valid, and a picture of my car in the courthouse parking lot, showing I drove it there that day. I sum up by telling the judge that Diane acted with willful misconduct by calling to have my car towed when it didn't violate any of the CC&Rs. Then I argue that she acted fraudulently by claiming to have authority as a board member to have it towed. I explain that by acting with willful misconduct and fraud, I am entitled to treble damages. I'm not exactly sure what a response was because I was having trouble hearing since I was so excited at having just owned Diane in open court. The judge awarded me $1,075 from Diane, $475 for the money I paid for the storage to the tow yard, plus the $600 in work I put in. Then he hit her with the treble damages. Now she owes me $3,225. 30 days later, my excitement has subsided, but she hasn't paid. I file notice with the court. 30 days after that, still no money. I go to the marshal's office with my judgment, and they tell me to find her bank accounts and come back. 30 days later, I go back to court and file and receive a garnishment order. Paid a private investigator $150, and we find her bank account. Back to the marshal's office, and we go to Bank of America and clean out her checking and savings accounts. I'm short like $1,500 though. Went back to Bank of America a couple months later, and she had closed her account. Paid the same private investigator again and found an account at SunTrust. Then went into that bank and took $1,250. I left $250 on my judgment out of spite. I used that $250 judgment against Diane to file a lien against her home. I left it there to mess with her, so she would always remember me when she tried to refinance or sell her home. I never did collect that $250, and the lien was released after 10 years. That was fine with me. I felt she had been punished enough. That jerk. I did wind up fixing the car though. Drove great after that. You need me to make a new batch of fries? Okay, I'll get right on that. So our fast food restaurant closes at midnight on Sundays, and around 11:15 p.m. we start transitioning to close and to get ready for the delivery we get every Sunday. There's a process here where we play a game of how many fries do you think we're going to sell in the last 45 minutes and put the bags of them up front because we know the delivery takes the last hour of our shift like clockwork, and we can't access the big boxes of French fries due to a line of boxes and dollies and counting items and etc. Plus, our manager specifically says not to go in the walk-in during the delivery, not that we could anyway tonight. So I'm usually pretty good at guessing, and we had a car pull up who needs fries times 2 large. So I dropped 4 large, half a bag, the last half we had up front, just in case another car pulls up. It did. That second car pulls up and says, "Hi, I'd like a Bam burger, large with fries, and I need those fries fresh." I was dumb enough to mention, "Well, tonight's your lucky day, because I just dropped some fries in right now." His increasingly pleasant response, "I don't care about those fries, yo. You better make me some new fries, fresh. Don't give me those fries, make some new ones." Enter malicious compliance. Enter another entry into the Jerk Chronicles. Now, I could have just as easily given him the fries I just dropped because they take around 3 minutes to cook, so he was pulling up just as they were finished. But he clearly said he didn't want those fries, so what's a cook to do? Do I lie and say these are not the same fries that they thought they were? I tell him it's gonna be a while on the new fries. He waits. I clean the Frosty machine, a 6-minute job. I'm quick and thorough, right in front of the window. And waits. He honks. I apologize sincerely and explain that the fries are inaccessible until the delivery driver can get everything moved. Shouldn't be that much longer, then we can drop them. Maybe 10 minutes. And waits. I stalk the nugget sauces, being mindful that I'm being watched like a hawk, so I pretend to look off in the middle distance of our restaurant, like there's something going on there. He waits some more. Finally, coworker runs up, literally in his slip non-resistant shoes, with the box, and we toss them into the fry bin. All of a sudden, he honks more emphatically now, and I come to the window to hear him yelling, "What? They're frozen? I want it fresh. He screeches off into the night, no food in sight. But alas, read him his rights. Officer Pay It Forward drives in for his usual, stops Captain Fresh Fries, gives the fry guy a ticket for aggressive driving, a big no-no and a huge fine in Arizona, and comes into line to get his freshly made fries. I know this because the officer is a regular to our drive-thru and always pays for the person behind him, like always. I guess we should call him Officer Pay It Backward. Speaking of fries, which place has the best fries in the world? Please let us know. McDonald's used to be really good, but I think they changed the oil they use. And now their fries are always cold and they only fill your thing up halfway. Lady doesn't want a drink, so has to pay for each item individually. I worked at a KFC for about 6 months as my first job, and this happened towards the end of my stay. One of our managers, who I'll dub Jay, is pretty strict with us in order to keep up with time and company policy. But we didn't mind, as he usually worked online with us, rather than sit in the office all day. And he does not have patience for rude people. And on one typical military payday, Friday, in towns next to military bases, all soldiers come in force on payday. We were slammed, and he was working register when a lady orders one of our 12-piece buckets, biscuits and all. Now usually you can save some money by ordering them as a meal, gives you drinks as well. So as usual, he asks what drink she wants, intending to make it a meal automatically. She declines the drinks. He tries to explain, "Ma'am, if we make it a meal, and she cuts him off with, "I don't care. I don't need drinks." As I said before, he can't stand rude people. So he immediately shuts up, smiles to me, says, "Sand Snake 7, can I get a 12-piece family fill-up? And don't worry about the drinks." Before turning to her and finishing the order, which took a moment as we couldn't simply press the combo button anymore, rather we had to ring up all the items themselves. He then had to ring up every single item individually, which racks up the price given the amount of items, and then finishes the order, which was well above what the normal price would be. It initially went off without a hitch, but unfortunately for us at the time, retelling a funny story later wasn't really a thought at the time. Rather, we just wanted to keep the line moving. The family behind her ordered another 12-piece family fill-up, but they ordered the combo. As Jay was finishing up with the second family order, the first one stepped aside to check the bags for everything, then they hear the price. Jay rang the second family for almost half the price of theirs, and she storms over. "How come theirs is so cheap? We ordered the same thing," she asks. To which Jay replies, wearing the standard issue customer service smile, "You said you didn't want no combo, ma'am, so I rang them up individually, ma'am. So you paid for them, not as a combo, but as the order you insisted on me making, ma'am." She then asks for the manager, claiming we were scamming her, to which Jay responds by walking behind the wall and coming back 2 seconds later wearing his manager vest. And Jay says, "Hello, I heard we had a problem and I came to see what I can help with." She grabs her food and leaves. Am I the jerk for flipping out on my husband for canceling my job interview? New account because he deleted my main. So this may sound petty, but let me explain. In 2019, I could no longer work because of my physical disabilities. No company wanted to hire me for the past couple of years, and my husband said that it's better I just stay home and not worry about working. I agreed, and he's become the breadwinner. Then, it's like a switch that flipped because chores were 50-50, but after I lost my job, they became 100% on me. Keep in mind my physical disabilities I developed. His excuse for not doing anything to help is that I stay at home 24/7. I told him that's not fair, especially since I suffered from physical discomfort. He made a deal with me and promised that everything will be 50-50 once I start working again. I told him I would find a job, and he laughed and said, "Good luck." I remember this vividly because of the strange laugh that I never heard him laugh before. I started looking for a job again for months, but had no luck till my friend's husband found me a potential job at a company that would have me work from home due to physical strains. I was so excited and felt like I'm capable again despite the struggle. They scheduled an interview with me, and when I told my husband, he looked red in the face but said nothing. 2 days ago, I found out that my job interview was canceled. I found out when my friend reached out to ask why I did that, but I said I had no idea. I checked my email and found nothing because I didn't send anything to the company. My husband came home and admitted to canceling the interview. I asked why, and he said that, "This job has lots of requirements, and you don't seem fit to be accepted there. So to spare you the heartache of being rejected, I just canceled the interview. I flipped out on him and told him he destroyed my one and only chance at landing a job. But he said he was just feeling concerned about my well-being. I told him he probably didn't want me to work because he didn't want to split the house chores, and he seemed offended by that. He threw a fit at how unreasonable and selfish I was to even consider a job without speaking to him first. I told him I don't get involved in his work life. He called me horrible for accusing him of bad intention, and then went out to meet his friends, probably to vent, because one of them told me that my husband is looking out for me, but I was being cruel by yelling at him. He has been cold-shouldering me since then, deleted my social media accounts, claiming that they're bad for my mental health because of the negative effect some of these platforms have. Am I the jerk for yelling at him? Not the jerk. New account because he deleted my main? I just had to read this one line and knew that this was not going to be you in the wrong. This man has extreme control issues. Run. He should be lifting you up and encouraging your growth and happiness, not knocking you down when you try to do something that makes you happy. I hope you realize you deserve so much better. Same. I read that first line and said out loud, get out. OP, this man has red flags as far as the eye can see. Run. Not the jerk. Hopefully, the friends who helped them get the interview will be understanding and let OP stay with them, or maybe family. This is a scary situation. It's like he doesn't want OP having a life outside of their home, even if it's just a virtual one. Am I the jerk for walking out of my sister's wedding after she tried to use me as free childcare? A few months ago, my 31 male sister, who's 29, announced that she was going to get married. The planning process took a while, but the date and venue were agreed on. Now, my sister has a baby, who's 1, that just loves to cry. He cries all the time, unless someone takes him outside for fresh air. So a few days ago, the wedding started. Because I was out of town, I missed the night before the wedding, basically a get-together period for family members and a big party, but showed up for the ceremony and reception. The second I got there, my sister asked me to take the baby outside in order to calm him down. I agreed because the ceremony hadn't started yet, but she asked me to take the baby outside again a while later. When I asked why the baby didn't have a sitter, she said that they spent all the money on the ceremony and parties. I was kind of annoyed because I wanted to sit in on the ceremony, but just about everyone jumped on me telling me to do my sister a favor and that it was her day. I asked her about when I was expected to take the baby out for fresh air, and she gave me this huge list of times that basically meant I missed out on all the important parts. I wouldn't be there for the exchanging of vows, the reception, the aisle walk, the readings, the kiss, etc. I figured out that in total, I would have about 30 minutes actually sitting inside, and the rest was just about the baby. When I pointed this out to her, she said someone would videotape it for me, but I wasn't convinced. I wanted to watch my sister reach a milestone, and that was what I came for. I told her that someone else could watch the baby for her, and that as her brother, I wanted to watch the wedding and not have to miss her getting married. Again, she told me to just do it. I was really mad, but tried not to show it on the outside. When I asked about the reception, she told me, "Oh, you'll have to miss out. The baby needs to be outside and has to be fed." That was the final straw, and when my mother was holding the baby, I slipped out and just left. The next day, I get a call from my sister, and she's screaming about how I ruined her wedding and how the baby wouldn't stop crying. I told her that I left because she treated me like a babysitter instead of a guest/family member, and said that it was her fault if she couldn't get a nanny or ask a friend to do it. Since then, I've been bombarded with calls from family calling me selfish and telling me that I am effectively disowned unless I apologize. I see no reason to. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Why couldn't she rotate baby duty between family members? She basically implied you were the least important person for her at the wedding. Plus, how expensive would it have been to hire a babysitter? Or your parents could have chipped in and gotten one. Even more important, why didn't sister ask OP beforehand? He's not only the least important person at the wedding for the bride, but also not important enough to be notified prior to the actual ceremony. OP's sister's planning is very poor. Not having family members rotate the duty is one thing, but blowing all the money on parties without regard to their own kid is another. OP, not the jerk at all. 1. You are not free childcare. Expecting you to single-handedly take care of a kid, any kid that isn't your own, without prior consultation and agreement is jerk moves and disrespectful. 2. She's had months to plan the wedding. There's more than enough time to hire a babysitter for a ceremony. Poor planning and or wanting to leave you no choice is totally on her, and you're within your right to refuse. 3. Even if there's no babysitter due to an accident, which I doubt, the guests can still rotate the babysitting duty. Forcing all of that on you just shows how little she values you as a guest, not a babysitter. Am I the jerk for asking my husband to choose between his daughters? I hope this post won't look messy. I'm so riled up that help me God. Me, female 50, and my husband, male 51, were married for 21 years. He divorced his pregnant wife to get with me, but he saw his daughter, Kristen, whenever he wanted. Later, I gave birth to our daughter, Sasha, but my husband was cheating on me and we took a break. I forbade him to see our daughter. He missed her early years, and now I think it changed everything. He doesn't treat Kristen, who's 21, and Sasha, who's 18, the same. Kristen is his number one thing. He comes running if she calls him, and he can just drop everything if she asks. He pays for Sasha's education, but she just isn't his priority. He always talks about Kristen. It's always about her. Sasha feels it, and it hurts her. I'm sure Kristen hates me for breaking her mom and her husband up. She always does things to rile me up. She calls my husband 5 times a day to chat, even late at night when she knows he's with me. She makes him spend a week and a month with her just chilling in his apartment. He never spends as much time with Sasha, and we live together. It's a victory if I manage to get us to watch a movie together. Recently, I learned that my husband left everything to Kristen in his will. She gets an apartment, his WW2 collection, when Sasha gets just one room in an old hostel building. Now there is a cat. Kristen already has 3. There is no place for more, so she dragged one into my husband's flat. She's claiming someone threw him away and she just wanted to give him a home. That's BS. She's doing everything to keep my husband chained to his second flat, away from his other daughter and me. He now has to stay there to feed it. Kristen does it when he's not there, but now he has a reason to spend more time in his flat, and he keeps doing it. Kristen knew it would be like this. She did this on purpose, I'm sure. I asked my husband to give the cat away, or we'd have a problem. He said he'd think, but he went and consulted Kristen. From what I got, she accused him of betraying that cat and stopped talking to him. My husband spent all night writing her apologies, and he told me he'd never get rid of the cat. He didn't even want it. Kristen bought it. It's just one more thing that keeps him away from his family. I finally had enough, and I told him to pick between Kristen and Sasha. He can't have 2 relationships at once, and if he cares about Sasha, he has to prove it and pick her at least this once. It was weeks ago, but he refuses to give me his answer, and I keep feeling like a jerk, but then I get angry again. I know he loves Kristen, but maybe the threat to not seeing Sasha will make him realize he has another daughter who needs his attention. So, am I the jerk for wanting my husband to focus on our daughter for a change instead of constantly running around with his first daughter? So, you engaged in parental alienation because you were jealous, and Dad and Sasha didn't bond because of you, and now you're upset because they're not bonded? You're the jerk. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to get him to improve his relationship with Sasha, but OP did it wrong and probably only made it worse. OP. I stole another woman's husband while she was pregnant, was shocked when he did the same to me, alienated him from our kid, and am now trying to alienate him from the kid he had with the wife I stole him from. Am I the jerk? Must be on something. You're the jerk. You're the jerk. I was close to everyone sucks here, but you got with a married man while his wife was pregnant and expect him to be a good guy? You banned him from seeing Sasha and are surprised he has a stronger bond with Kristen? I finally had enough, and I told him to pick between Kristen and Sasha. He can't have 2 relationships at once, and if he cares about Sasha, he has to prove it and pick her at least this once. This is just so ridiculous. Honestly, I can't even. You need a really, really, really good therapist, not Reddit. You're the jerk just for parental alienation alone. But this post is so full of eye roll. You engaged in an affair with a married man expecting a kid. We're all surprised when he cheated on you, as if it were a secret he was a cheater. Alienated his kid and preventing a bond. Then are all upset because this stellar man isn't the father you want him to be. At what point do you accept accountability for this crap show? Everyone sucks here. Him for cheating, you for parental alienation and the cheating. By the way, hubby is still cheating. His daughter is just his alibi, and the new girlfriend probably just moved into the apartment. Am I the jerk for saying my husband is a good father? When he was in his early 20s, my husband got a girl pregnant. They were casually dating in college. They had a lot of mutual friends. He didn't want to be a dad and told her as much, but she was adamant about keeping the baby. He was supportive through the pregnancy, but was clear he didn't want to be involved. He wanted to renounce his rights, but ended up with an agreement where he still pays child support but doesn't do visitation nor have involvement in any parental decisions. The girl is now 12. He hasn't met her, nor plans to ever do so. I met him 8 years ago. We've been married for almost 7. He told me about the whole having a biological kid out there very early on. I was and am fine with it. It is sad that a kid came into the world under those circumstances, but I don't think he was wrong for choosing not to be involved. We now have a 5-year-old son. My husband has always been wonderful to me. That's why I fell in love with him. He was great during the pregnancy and birth and has been great to our son and me ever since. I think he's a wonderful dad and husband. The problem, 2 of his friends married their college girlfriends, whom were/are friends with his biological daughter's mother. And now 3 occasions in conversations where I said my husband is a wonderful father, one of them said something snarky and mean like, yeah, to only one of his kids. Over the weekend, we attended one of their kids' birthday parties. I was chatting to another mom about motherhood and said that it's easier when you have a good team player in your spouse. The homeowner mom chimed in to say loudly, if only the mother of his other kid had the same. Later, I confronted her in the kitchen, said I was very tired of her and the other friends' comments about my husband, that she didn't need to invite us to things or spend time with us if she didn't want to, but it was super disrespectful to be constantly insulting him as a father. She told me she initially liked me, but finds it distasteful and rude that I keep praising my husband as a good father when I'm well aware that he isn't, that she will always make sure to correct me because it's not okay that he got away with what he did and now gets to play happy family with me and our son. The conversation went south from then on, and of course we left. The other mom friend texted me yesterday to tell me she completely backs up what the other said, and that I'm horrible for marrying and having a kid with a deadbeat, and on top of it, praise him as a good dad. I have no doubts of my feelings. My husband has been and is great with our son and with me. I guess I never thought how my words would be insensitive towards his biological daughter and her mother, whom I've never met. But am I the jerk for occasionally saying my husband is a good father when talking to people? Should I stop? Not the jerk, and I really don't get all the comments saying otherwise. He wasn't ready to be a father then, made that very clear to the ex, still supported her through the pregnancy, still pays child support, and has stuck to their agreement, as has the ex. What, is he just supposed to show up at random, toss that girl's life into disarray just so he's not a deadbeat, which he doesn't seem to be at all? Your other comments even make it clear that he recognized it would be unethical to give away parental rights, which it wouldn't have been. I mean, is there something I'm missing here? He can't be a good or a bad father to that girl because he is not her father in anything more than blood. He is a father to your son and a good one, in ways beyond that. So no, you're not the jerk for saying that he is what he is. Not the jerk. This may get me downvoted, but all the people saying you're the jerk, do you remember the post about the guy calling his ex a deadbeat because she didn't want anything to do with the kid he talked her into giving him? She paid child support, more than needed, and requested to have nothing to do with them. Everyone jumped down that guy's throat, rightly so, for calling her a deadbeat and stated she was within her rights to do that. Why is it different if it's a man? He didn't want a kid then. He told her and she still had the kid. He pays child support, just like that woman did. Is it because he decided to have a kid when he got older and wiser, or is it simply because he's a man? Not the jerk. He made it clear that he wasn't interested in being a single father in his 20s, and it sounds like the mother was willing to be a single mother. He chose to have a kid with you and sounds like a great dad. Good on you for defending him, but you might want to talk to him about dropping those friends. I'm kind of torn here between everyone sucks and you're the jerk. You're right that they probably just shouldn't hang out with you and your husband, but if your husband is friends with their spouses, they're a little bit stuck, and they should let sleeping dogs lie. And yet, why do you talk about what a great father and husband he is that often? That it's now come up in conversation 3+ times. It sounds like you are defensive and constantly reiterating that he's a great father in front of these women who are good friends with the woman he left to parent alone. So I honestly don't blame them for wanting you to shut it. So it comes down to why this has come up so often. If they are constantly bringing it up unprompted, that your husband sucks as a dad, they should stop. But you should also stop constantly bringing up, unprompted, that he's a great dad. Their friend has been a single parent for years because he only values one of his children. You've decided that's okay with you, but it doesn't have to be okay with them. Everyone sucks here. He has a kid that he has rejected and never made an effort to know. Punishing that kid and leaving her without a father is brutal. He is a selectively good father, which to the people that see the damage to his first kid must feel like a slap in the face. You're the jerk. I'm a firm believer that people can change and that your husband is in a different mental space and he's now ready to be a dad, whereas before he wasn't. That being said, you can't go around saying he's a good dad when he only cares about one of his kids, especially around people that knew him in college and remember him as the guy that didn't want any part of his daughter's life. Maybe you should modify what you're saying. My husband is a good father to our son, because according to you, he is. But there's another kid whose life he's absent from, and that is not being a good father to that kid, your son's half-sibling. Even I was cringing at your comment, because how can you just ignore that he's an absentee father to one of his kids? I really want to say you're not the jerk, but when I think about that kid who he's neglected, your generic praise even rubs me the wrong way, because I feel for the kid he's basically abandoned. That's not being a good father, OP. You're the jerk. Are you the jerk for saying your husband is a good father in front of company that knows otherwise? Yes, you are. He has picked and chosen which child to actually be present for. He made a choice, and that choice was to not be around. That automatically takes him out of the good father category. You know it's an issue, it's already been said before, but you will still insist on saying he's a good father around them. That's your opinion. You are stating it around them, and then you say they aren't allowed their opinion? If you don't want to hear it, don't go. If it's not true, then stop saying it. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk for saying that her husband is a good father around those friends or not? Please let us know. Oh, this one is spicy. I can't wait to read what our listeners think of this one. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.